Hello, welcome to 10 Minutes with Malachi. I'm Buddy Pennington, pastor of Westville Assembly of God in Northern Holmes County, Florida. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at lesson number 2, part 3. This is going to come from Malachi, chapter number 2 and verse 17. Allow me to read that for you now. You have wearied the Lord with your words. How have we wearied him, you ask? You have wearied him by saying that all who do evil are good in the Lord's sight, and he is pleased with them. You have wearied him by asking, where is the God of justice? Now Malachi continues his condemnation of Israel by stating that they are wearying God, in other words, putting God in a position of being tired of listening to them with their pleas and their complaints. Now, in this particular statement, he is telling them that there are two ways that they are wearying God. First, he tells them that they are declaring that evil people are good and that they are acceptable in the eyes of God. Now, this would fit in the incorrect concept that because everyone is part of creation, then everyone is good and will be accepted into God's presence. After all, when God created the world, which included mankind, he declared that everything was good. So the incorrect assumption is that since God declared that everything is good, then people, regardless of whether they are good or evil, are going to be accepted by God because they will all be looked at as being good. Now, this is a serious error that often is used to justify all actions that people do and statements that they make, regardless of the intents of the actions or the statements. It is human reasoning at its most rebellious and self-centered state. To state that even the evil people are good denies the existence of original sin, and therefore denies that people will be separated from God because of their thoughts, words, and actions. It denies the existence of a moral law that distinguishes between good and evil, right and wrong. It denies there will be eternal punishment for those who reject God by inferring that God does not differentiate between those who are good and those who are evil. Now, because the Israelites were saying essentially, I'm okay, you're okay, they were guilty of disobeying God's commands to shun evil. There are those today who make the same error in their theology. They deny that God will send anyone to eternal separation from him because of the way they live. They state that because God is love, he will accept everyone. They refuse to admit that he is a God of judgment as much as a God of love. Israel's second error lay in their questioning of God's application of justice. They want to know where the God of justice is. In other words, by questioning God's timing, they are also questioning God's judgment. Now, it follows that if God doesn't follow their desired timetable and reaction to what they perceive are injustices, then God does not possess absolute authority to deal with justice in any kind of a manner. He does not have the ability to deal with the problems and burden of mankind. In other words, God is not really the supreme being. He is not the one who is in control of his creation. Now, this second error appears today in religion and in the philosophy of humanism. The movement to deny the existence and authority of God has been around a long time. That movement seeks to put mankind in charge of their own affairs and seeks to put mankind responsible for what happens to the rest of creation. Now, since mankind is in control, then mankind can provide the justice that is needed in all areas of life without regard to any religious doctrines. The inaccurate thought that man's civil law can establish justice and dispense that justice in a fair manner is a subtle teaching of this second error. Civil law cannot establish moral law. It must be based on moral law that exists before the civil law. Now, Malachi saw these two areas of Israel and tried to correct them through his ministry. Unfortunately, God's spokesmen and spokeswomen today are still trying to point out how people weary God by calling evil good and by questioning God's authority. Our society is making the same mistakes that Israel did. The only remedy is for people to humble themselves, seek God, repent of their evil thoughts and actions, and ask God to forgive them. Maybe God will be merciful to us. It is our only hope for redemption. It is my prayer that these videos are a blessing to you. I encourage you to visit our website, which is westvilleag.org. On that website, you will find transcripts of these Bible studies and also of our Sunday morning sermons. May God bless you richly. Between now and the next video is our prayer. If you have prayer requests that you would like to have us join you in praying about, please feel free to leave them in the comments here on our Facebook page or on our website. Until next time.